this, and I need to do this.
Like a fully loaded steak burrito for $8.
That's pretty solid.
It was fucking delicious. And they do like $1 Taco Tuesdays. So I'll probably go back on Tuesday.
Sorry, I thought I had a sneeze. Okay.
No, you're good.
Okay. Okay, well, I already started it, so welcome everyone to tonight's podcast. I know we're a couple days late, but your boy's sick as fuck, and yesterday I had no energy whatsoever. Tried to go to bed early and ended up being up from 1 in the morning till 5. So it was, yesterday was great. It was great, dude, especially when I went to the gym as well, so my body was extra achy. It was 10 out of 10, dude. Would
Sounds
do
hot.
again. Would do again. Anyways, hope y'all are having a fantastic Sunday night. We got the usual co-host, Mr. Markov's Portrait. Say hello to the people.
Howdy, howdy, gamerinos.
Yeah. We got a shit ton of articles, so I'm going to try and go over some of the more interesting ones that would definitely get people riled, especially Mr. Carter over here, because we want him to get triggered because his content. Anyways.
It's for the views.
So yeah, that's what we got going on tonight. In the meantime, I'm gonna be playing some Black Desert in the background, doing some grinding. So don't pay a lot of mind to it if you don't feel like it. If so, make sure to keep the stream open while we're doing it, obviously, so that way you get drops enabled if you do play this game. So good stuff. But anyways, why don't we go ahead and start with, let's see. Let's start with the Star Wars one, shall we? So, Star Wars Jedi Survivor, so the sequel to Fallen Order, was slated to release, I think, this month, wasn't it?
Yeah, toward the end of the month.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Well, unfortunately, it will now release April 28th, so like a month and a half delay, which is unfortunate, but it is what it is. In a statement posted on social media, director Stig Asmussen addressed the reasoning behind the delay, saying the team is focused on polishing the final release while enhancing the performance. For the last 3 years, the Jedi team here at Respawn has poured its collective heart and soul into Star Wars Jedi Survivor, and we are proud to say the next chapter in the tale of Cal Kestis is content complete. Content. Okay, that's an interesting way to say that. We are now focused entirely on the final stage, bug fixes to enhance performance, stability, polish, and most importantly, the player experience. Jedi Survivor is a direct response to the feedback from our community, delivering expansive destinations to explore, evolved combat, and traversal, and of course the continuation of Callum BD's story. Making this game has truly made us a better team, and we have pushed ourselves at every level to make this the Star Wars sequel for fans to expect from Respawn and Lucasfilm Games. In order for the team to hit Respawn quality bar, provide the team the time they need, and achieve the level of polish our fans deserve, we have added 6 crucial weeks to our release schedule. Star Wars Jedi Survivor will now launch globally on April 28th. Thanks to EA and Respawn for giving us the time to deliver the best experience for our players, and to all of you thank you to all of you for all your understanding. Let's see here. Respawn Entertainment CEO and Group GM Vince Zampella also released a statement saying that Respawn is dedicated to making games that feel good to play. We're proud of the game that this team has created, and giving them the extra time ensures that on April 28th, we're delivering another great Star Wars experience for our players, Zampella said. First announced last May, let's see here. Jedi Survivor is the follow-up of Respawn's initial turn with the series, which attracted more than 20 million players across multiple releases. So, yeah, this is pretty cool. Me personally, I think I've already said this multiple times on the podcast, but I don't care if a game gets delayed, as long as the game comes out even more polished than what it was slated to be. That's my personal opinion. I don't know. I'm pretty sure Carter would agree with me on that sentiment.
I agree. I think the surprising thing for me out of this one is the fact that it's coming from an EA studio, which has been pretty notorious for, hey, we said this date, we're pushing it out no matter what the last few years.
Mm,
Um, Most recently with Battlefield 20. Excuse me. Most recently with Battlefield 2042. They kind of just seemed to not take any feedback from the beta of that game and said, all right, well, ship it. Um, and I assume we all know how that went by now.
mhm. Mhm. Yeah.
Anthem was another pretty notable example of them doing that. Pretty much any major game that's not locked behind. I shouldn't even say that's not locked behind a major IP because they kind of fucked up Battlefront 2 when it came out as well.
Yeah.
So,
That one had a turnaround, but the problem is that that game's turnaround came too late.
yeah. But I don't know. Long story short, I don't know. It's the fucking age old quote that's been spun around on the internet for the last 15 years. A rushed game is potentially bad, a delayed game is good forever, or however it goes. But yeah, um, especially with how good the first one was, I'm okay if they're willing to commit a little bit more time to polishing the sequel. So
Yeah. I'm all for
do
it.
what you
I'm
gotta do to
sure.
make it fun, man.
Yeah, I'm sure that the game will be fine. It's just, obviously stability and stuff is probably their biggest concern right now.
Yeah, and like, I don't know, delayed Star Wars games have a pretty good rep for coming out good. Last year's example, the Lego Star Wars Skywalker Saga, that was delayed for like 3 years um, from its original release date, and that was like one of my favorite games that came out last year. So
There you go. So yeah. I guess we'll have to wait a little bit longer on that, but
and that's
takes
okay
some patience.
because if that was the only game that you had your sights on this month, I assume you play video games that are tied to your favorite IPs and not games that you like. Because Jesus Christ, are there so many games that are coming out in between that time frame?
Yeah. Let's see here. But yeah, no. So it's not a bad thing. Just got to be a bit more patient. Why don't we move on to some somewhat hilarious news? So, uh, Ubisoft has been discreetly sending out auto refunds for Skull and Bones, apparently. Um, in this article by GameRant, the long-awaited Ubisoft title Skull and Bones has had a more than tumultuous development cycle, with the game being announced in its early iterations as early as 2013. With over a decade passed since this initial formulation, it is safe to say fans are more than eager to finally get their hands on the anticipated title. It is worth noting that Skull and Bones has undergone significant developments in more recent years, with intended release dates and swaths of promotional material finally finding their way to fans. However, the game is still tainted by delays in Ubisoft's financial issues, and the recent news of pre-orders being quietly refunded for players on certain platforms indicates that the game may still have a very long way to go before it sees the light of day. Um, let's see here. Aiming for an original 2018 release, Skull and Bones has been delayed several times, with intended release dates of 2019, 2020, 2021, and 2022, all being further pushed back, much to the dismay of fans. With the game recently receiving more tangible updates, many fans were expecting the recent expected release date of early 2023 as a reliable one. Um, but Skull and Bones has now been delayed for a sixth time, with a release window of 2023 to 2024 now being slated. What the pre-order refunds could mean. So, despite the comparative positivity that came from the recent promotional material and gameplay teasers of Skull and Bones, a recent development has significantly worried fans and is a clear why. Players who had pre-ordered Skull and Bones on PlayStation platforms have been refunded for the pre-order, with the game no longer being able to purchase of the out of the PlayStation Store, which I'm not surprised. They didn't do something quite the same, but in a similar ballpark of Cyberpunk when it had that disastrous launch. So
Well, Cyberpunk was more a response to backlash as opposed to a studio saying, "Hey, let's do this."
that's fair. I'll give you that. um, When considering that Skull and Bones has already been delisted from the Steam marketplace, a very worrying trend is beginning to take shape regarding the title. With Ubisoft having to have okayed this decision, many fans are understandably seeing this as an admission of just how far Skull and Bones is from becoming a reality, with the development cycle for the title perhaps being in even more jeopardy than what fans already believe. At the very least, the refunds of Skull and Bones pre-orders indicate that the game is not set to release for quite some time, and gives the already shaky current release window of 2023 to 2024 even less credibility. On the other hand, the decision could even indicate that a potential full cancellation of the title to come further down the line, which is a real possibility given the unprecedented development time and amount of delays for Ubisoft games that already plague the piracy-based title. Um, so yeah, what do you think about that, Carter? You getting upset that this game is getting delayed over and over, or do you not give a shit?
I mean, like as far as the game itself goes, I don't really care. Like in the whole Pirates versus Ninja debate of 2007, I always thought ninjas were cooler. Um, I think more so what this means for the grander scheme of things. Ubisoft needs to get their shit together because the amount of times they've done this in the last 5 years is fucking embarrassing at this point.
Truth.
Um, between this, the Prince of Persia remake, fucking Beyond Good and Evil 2, which is a running joke at this point. I believe Beyond Good and Evil 2 has surpassed Duke Nukem Forever as far as being the game in development hell for the longest period of time. Um, but the fact that it's happened so many times so recently, I think they need to take this and take the hints from that investors meeting that they had last month and just kind of figure out what it is they do at this point. Um, because outside of that, like Mario Rabbids game and whatever fucking Rainbow Six updates they're rolling out, I truthfully couldn't tell you anything that's coming out within the next year from that studio. I just don't.
Yep.
I don't know. I'm very much of the opinion that at the absolute most, you should not announce that you are making a game any longer than 3 years before it comes out.
Okay.
Because when you do that, you run into a Kingdom Hearts 3 situation where you tell people it's coming out, you tell people it's coming out, they keep delaying it, and the mindset's going to be with each delay, oh, they've got so much extra time to do this or do that. And it just kind of works its way into like the public zeitgeist until you reach a point like Kingdom Hearts, like Cyberpunk, where and partly to blame on the studio, but also just the expectation you've set for yourself with the amount of time you've worked on that game, you are setting an extremely high precedent by telling people, oh, we're taking our time to work on this.
Yeah. You
Because as
guys,
soon as you
if
do
you
that,
can't just
they're
outright,
expecting,
if you can't just outright say, "Hey, listen, we don't know when we're gonna have this shit in gear," or you just keep saying, "Oh, we're just gonna delay it to polish it more and more." I agree. It's just like you're sitting at Mount Everest levels of fucking high expectations, and it gets to the point where you can't fulfill those expectations, and most of the people are just gonna be pissed off that it didn't live up to those expectations.
no. And I think there's a lot of, it's not just Ubisoft that's doing it. Like I
No.
said, Square's been notorious for it. Um, Atlas, I don't know, they're better about it now, but Persona 5 was announced almost 10 years before it came out. Um, what's the other one that I had that I was thinking of? I mean, there's like No Man's Sky. They announced that pretty early. Granted, they kind of pushed that one forward from what they were planning on. But yeah, I don't know. It's just you set yourself up for failure when you try and push in on a timeline like that. And I realize there's a point where investors sit there and go, "Oh, well, it has to be out by this day, or we're going to pull funding, or whatever." Like, I get there's that part of it,
Yeah.
but that you don't have to. You can work on a game and not announce it. Like the fucking what's the Xbox game that just came out of nowhere last week? The one you know what I'm talking about? The high
Uh.
res. What's it
Oh,
called?
Hi-Fi Rush.
Yes, came out of nowhere. last week after that fucking showcase that they did, and people love it. Like, and you've seen it a lot in like the music industry. You know, people will just be like, "Oh yeah, by the way, here's a single album comes out tomorrow." Like Drake's done it. Avenged Sevenfold's done it. There's a band I listen to, King Gizzard, that does it 3 times a year. Like they just fucking. If you don't allow, and that's not to say that you shouldn't allow it at all, because yes, it's cool to have that speculation and wonder behind things, but if you don't allow yourself as a developer or a studio to get to that point where, oh, we've been working on it for the past ever, you know, people are going to assume that, you know, time in the oven leads to a better cooked product. And I think as those kinds of games have come out, that proves to be the case less and less. Whether it's like Kingdom Hearts 3, Final Fantasy 14 or 15, excuse me. I don't know. I could name examples of all kinds of shit. Duke Nukem Forever, like people expected it to be good. Borderlands 3, I don't know.
Yeah,
Swap out whatever game you want, but
basically, just like just keep it on the down low. Just leave it be until it's actually cooking, not when you're
yeah.
still trying to get the ingredients together. You feel?
Well, and like I don't know. There's some movies like the whole. I hate that the MCU's at a point where they just sit there and they put all their cards out on the table at the same time. Because
Like,
like
are you saying that
the
you don't
ending
like the
to
Marvel Direct that shows like what is coming out for like each phase, or what do you mean?
I hate that they're so open about the way that things are coming out because it ruins a lot of like moments for me. Like when Infinity War hit, if I didn't know they were making another Black Panther, another Spider-Man, a Black Widow movie, like if I didn't know all of the shit that they were planning for the characters after Infinity War and Endgame,
Hmm.
and I walked out of that theater saying, "Oh my God, Spider-Man's dead. Oh my God, Black Panther's dead." That would have sat with me for so much fucking longer and like resonated with me so much more. It would have been so much more impactful for them to not just say, "Yeah, they'll be back next spring."
Mm.
Because that's like exactly what ended up happening. Like Spider-Man turns to, and spoilers for fucking Infinity War at this point. I don't know how you don't know the plot of the movie if you listen to us enough by now, but or if you just haven't seen it. But when like Spider-Man and Doctor Strange and T'Challa and Thor, well not Thor, but like you see all these people get dusted, but then like 3 weeks before the movie came out, they had this giant panel and they're just like, "We're doing another Black Panther and Spider-Man's coming back," and like it almost felt on purpose that they were like, "Hey, we're going to announce all this shit and then kill them off just so they didn't make a kid cry in the theater." But like, I don't know. There's impact to be had if you just let people speculate to some extent.
True.
Like it's a tightrope act for sure, but I don't think it's one that needs to be fumbled as bad as it has been in the last 10 years in the entertainment industry.
That's fair. Give you that. But yeah. So hopefully, Ubisoft gets their shit in gear. Cause I think there's a couple of buddies of ours that are looking forward to the game. I think Philip has said off and on that he's been waiting patiently for it. So, um,
Well, and
guess we'll have
like
to wait and
I
see.
don't with this one specifically too, it's not even like a unique thing. Like if you want that itch, go play Black Flag, go play Sea of Thieves. Like there's so many alternatives out there for you at this point.
That is true, and they're actually out. You can actually play them.
It's true, and some of them have pretty cool crossover stuff. There's like Pirates of the Caribbean shit in Sea of Thieves. That's like the premier pirate thing.
That is true. That is true. Um, but yeah, so we'll have to wait and see. Hopefully they get their shit in gear. Carter, you put a thing in here on the 25th about everything announced at the Xbox and Bethesda Developer Direct. What's going on with that? Let us know. What's going on?
Yeah, so that was. Let me scroll back up to it. Christ, that's but It's
Yeah, it
been
was a
a
while ago.
weirdly low-key busy week, or couple weeks. Let's find it. He said on the 25th?
Yeah, it said published on the 25th.
Nope, 27th. That's when I posted it.
Oh, okay.
All right. Yeah, so I don't remember. I'm pretty sure we didn't talk about it last week. Xbox, like I had mentioned very briefly, Xbox and Microsoft did a developer direct, which is pretty much their take on a PlayStation State of Play or a Nintendo Direct, where they just announced a bunch of stuff. Well, not really a bunch of stuff, but so they gave a release date for the Minecraft Legends game, which I'm actually kind of looking forward to. It looks pretty rad. It's like an open world adventure co-op game, more action adventure-y than like sandbox compared to the original Minecraft. But that is slated to come out on all platforms on April 18th of this year. Got a new trailer. It actually looks pretty fun. I'm cautiously optimistic about that. When they did Minecraft Dungeons a few years ago, I had a pretty good time with that, but they didn't really support it post-launch. I think there were like 2 DLC patches like 3 months after launch, and then they said we were done.
Oh,
So hopefully they can kind of extrapolate on that, or hopefully there's more content in the base game for a longer kind of shelf life. But yeah, the concept looks good. It looks fun. I'll probably scoop it at some point. What else? Oh, they did a trailer for Forza Motorsport. This one looks to be more like a proper racing game, and less like the open world Forza Horizon games. What they are flaunting with this one is a fully dynamic time of day and weather system. So, you know, it's going to be. I don't know. I don't need to explain what time and weather are for you, uh, but they're adding that into the game. First time in the series, and they are also touting over 500 cars on launch day,
oh,
which is kind of crazy.
goddamn.
Yeah, I don't know. I've played Forza Horizon 5 a bit. I know it's not the same as the racing stuff, but if they control like the Forza Horizon games do, I think my problem with those games is that they're too realistic as far as the controls go.
A word? Why do you feel that way?
Like, I don't know. Like they're very, and I can appreciate like the technology and the development stuff that goes behind it because it's so cool that we're at that point with stuff like that. But I don't know. Like, if you have a car that has bad handling, like you spin out the second you go over 100 miles an hour and you try and like slightly swerve to the left to avoid a car. I don't know. It's very one to one with what I would expect high speed racing to be like in real life, which I get is the appeal, but it's not for me. And I'm sure so much of that is me growing up on like Need for Speed and Burnout as a kid. But
That's fair.
it's a very different kind of racer. So
Yeah, I
like I
mean,
said, I see the value in it for sure. Like there's definitely the reason it's got a fan base like it does. But
yeah. I would agree to an like there is a certain point in the realistic way that cars drive where it's just like, okay, I can't do the badass maneuvers that I usually do, bro. Come on. Give me something
yeah,
here. Work with me here. But
yeah.
okay.
So I don't know. Looked pretty rad.
Mhm.
Excuse me. Um, Next thing they announced, like I mentioned, they surprise dropped Hi-Fi Rush, which is like a cell shaded anime inspired rhythm based hack and slash game. Um, really good reviews, really positive reception from everything I've seen. One thing to note is it is the same team that worked on both Evil Within games,
Oh.
which is like Bethesda's take on Resident Evil, which were super good, but this kind of came out of left field for a couple of reasons. Um, yeah, from what I've seen, it's pretty great. I've only seen clips on Twitter and stuff, and then like the trailer, but people seem to be liking it. Um, Next, they announced another Elder Scrolls expansion, Necrom, which had apparently leaked sometime last year. It has a new class, the Arcanist, and it is set in Eastern Morrowind, set to be out June 20th of this year.
Oh,
So that's cool. I'm gonna get back on my pedestal about not announcing games before they're done and just say, "Hey, where the fuck is Elder Scrolls 6?" But I'm sure my kids and I will have fun with that by the time it's out. So, and then lastly, they closed out with some more Redfall information.
ooh,
Set to
very
come out
nice.
May 2nd. It is playable solo or up to 4-player co-op. One thing that they did announce is that it is always online.
I think I
So,
remember hearing something about this actually.
no, that was Back for Blood. When Back for Blood came out, people threw a fit because the solo mode was also always online.
And it
Um,
basically made it
there was
impossible
an offline
for.
mode, but you didn't get any progression if you played offline. This one does not even have an offline mode at all. You are always online, even if you're playing by yourself.
Oh,
You have to be
Jesus.
connected to a server.
God damn it.
I'm really looking forward to this game. I want it to be good. That is a step in the wrong direction for me.
Yeah, it makes it so that people that don't really have good internet or stable internet or some shit like that can play it. Kind of just tells you you're shit out of luck.
Yeah, well, and for me, it's like, why would you even make a solo mode if you have to be online for one, then I don't know. I just
Yeah,
be
I,
like if
I agree with you.
Activision put out the Crash Bandicoot trilogy a few years ago, and they were like, you have to have an internet connection to play this. Like, what's the fucking point?
Yeah, it's. I don't know how I feel about that, but I guess we'll have to see what happens. Or I honestly don't really know what to say. It's just I guess we have to wait and see what happens. Oh shit, I have a lot of skill points. Okay. Why did everything get fucking reset? What the fuck? Alright, I'm
Uh,
upset.
well, on the BDO front.
Yeah, so for some reason they every time they've done a reset on characters as a whole, they decide, okay, well we're just gonna reset all your fucking skill points, so you get to put all those back in again.
Oh, that's unfortunate.
It's a good time, dude. It's just great. You can tell that I'm just having a blast, can't you?
Right.
But nonetheless, as for Forza Motorsport, I've been looking for a new racing game. I was gonna get Unbound, Need for Speed Unbound, but then I heard it's trash, which sucks.
Oh, see, I've heard it's okay. I haven't heard it's great, but I've heard it's okay.
Okay, sorry, that's a bit overdramatic. So I heard it's basically Need for Speed Heat with slightly new particle effects with like nitrous and drifting and shit. That's what
I
I've
mean,
heard.
to be fair, that's what the last 4 Need for Speed games have been.
So.
I just want them to make another fucking Burnout game, but they never will.
Yeah, I don't understand why they're so against doing that. Because Burnout was
Burnout
a pretty
was a
popular
really good
fucking game.
formula. Dude, it was great. I would sit there with my dad like entire weekends, and we would just sit there and play Crash Mode and watch shit blow up.
Yeah. Maybe one of these
You can
days they'll
make an
go back to
explosion
the.
big enough to get the frames drop. It's fun. But whatever. What do I know about what people want?
Agreed. What do you know?
Thanks, bud.
But alrighty. Well, God damn it,
Easy killer.
Jesus, my fucking body's rebelling against me. Gonna have to beat its ass after I'm done here.
Wouldn't
Uh,
advise that, but you do what you gotta do, I suppose.
nah, dude, it's perfectly necessary.
Okay.
Um, actually, Carter, you're a big Dead Space fan, aren't you?
I've dabbled.
You dabbled. Why don't you tell us what's going on and why the developers are saying, hey, you should be careful when you're streaming this.
Because it's metal as fuck. Um,
Oi.
yeah, so the Dead Space remake by this Titan has been out for a couple of weeks. It's getting rave reviews, which I fucking love. I'm really glad EA didn't drop the ball on this one.
Agreed.
Um, if you're a big fan of survival horror and you're a big fan of the original, or if you haven't played the original, it sounds like it's pretty damn worth your time. So I will probably be scooping that up here in the coming weeks. But that said, EA did put out a warning ahead of the game that pretty much warned people with all of the, especially with YouTube's recent updates to graphic content, like violent graphic content. EA has warned that there is stuff intense enough in that game that will get them either demonetized or videos taken down altogether.
Oh.
This isn't something that YouTube has come out and said they're doing, but the devs who worked on the game came out and said, hey, use extreme caution and prejudice when you're making your content around this game because you'll probably get demonetized.
Jesus Christ. All right.
And to their credit, they're not entirely wrong. Like
No,
I've
they
been
aren't.
watching I haven't watched the full playthrough because I don't want to spoil anything for myself too much, but I watched the first episode of Markiplier's playthrough when it came out, and it is fuck.
I mean,
God damn. It
I've been
makes
seeing gameplay videos and also been catching streams here and there of that shit, and I can safely say they did good with the remaster when it comes to
things
them wanting to
fucking
show
visceral.
as much brutality as fucking possible. And
Yeah,
I mean,
it's
I'm okay
it's
with it, but
visceral.
not everybody is, unfortunately.
No, it's getting me really warmed up for the Resident Evil 4 stuff though. So
Truth. When's that
I
game
don't
supposed to
know.
be
It's
coming out
it's
again?
gonna like April, April or May, sometime this spring.
Okay.
But I don't know. Survival horror fans are eating real good this year. Dead Space remake, Resi 4 remake, Silent Hill's an active IP again.
It's a good year, lads, for horror games.
It's
Everything
a
else
great
is
year.
sucking
That's like
dick,
the
but
fucking that's the Triforce. I wouldn't say that. There's some good shit coming out across the board.
Redfall is
Spider-Man's supposed
probably
to come
like
out
one
this
of my
summer.
bigger things right now.
Yeah, I don't know.
Obviously, the
I've
always
kind of
online
been
thing is a little bit troubling, and obviously based off of how Back for Blood did with that shit, and theirs was a lesser form of it. It
well,
kind
that
of
was
worries me,
also what I
but
was going to say with that is I'm kind of disenfranchised with the whole co-op shooter genre now between Wonderlands, Back for Blood, Destiny. I, I just don't really have the same investment in them as I used to. So
I don't really
if
either.
they're good, I'll absolutely dive in. Like if people are coming out saying, yeah, 9 out of 10, 8 out of 10, whatever, like I'll pick it up. But I can't really stand or tolerate another average co-op shooter that I'll drop in a week.
Truth. I can agree with that. Try not to waste your time, essentially. Time is precious.
But one other thing I will say, very slight, oh, yeah, slight spoilers for both the original and the remake for Dead Space. They did bring back the 100% completion reward for beating it on the hardest difficulty,
Oh,
and
nice.
it's just as good as it was back in 2008 or whenever it came out.
Nice, nice, nice.
It, it's a beautiful work of art, and I think more games should do stupid stuff like that.
It's a beautiful world out there.
That's as much as I will say.
Yes. But yeah. So, so to all our fellow content creators out there, be careful. So, you know, you're gonna have to do at least some censoring there if you want to keep making money off your videos. So, if you play the game, anyways. So yeah. Moving on to the next article. Intel apparently is having a very bad time. So, premier CPU manufacturer Intel had a bad 2022 that ended on one of its worst quarters since the apocalyptic days of dot-com collapse of 2000. Industry analysts already unhappy with Intel's financial performance are now saying that 2023 could be just as hard for the company. The company's bad end of 2022 and low projections on its 2023 earnings have knocked $8 billion off of the company's market value. To be pat, Intel is having one of those years where the red line on the money chart is going down very steeply. No words can portray or explain the historic collapse of Intel, analyst Hans Mosesman told U.S. News. Why has it happened? As the man said, it's complex, but the current downturn in the market for PCs is a big reason. That has led to a massive overstock of chips, and Intel's customers aren't going to buy too much new until they sell those. Intel CEO is now saying that the PC market will sell almost 100 million fewer computers than he predicted it would. Intel's multi-year downturn has also comes alongside the rise of a massive rival outside the space gamers think of. Um, Hold on 1 second. Oops, stop doing that. What are you doing? Okay. Let's see here. The Taiwan Semiconductor Manufacturing Company, or TSMC, now manufactures about as many chips as Intel does, as AMD and Nvidia have taken shares of Intel's market in other sectors. TSMC has also risen to compete in the manufacturing sector. Still, there's a chance that Intel will do better than expected. Some analysts say just that, even as Intel CEO Patrick Gelsinger admits the company has underperformed and lost important market share to AMD. The source of this strong Intel, Gelsinger, is still referring to the company's plan to deliver ever-improved chip and technology, and has reiterated their commitment to 5 nodes in 4 years and the release of Meteor Lake processors in the second half of 2023. So, short and sweet article, but basically Intel's bitching and moaning because they actually have competition now. So I'm going to go ahead and say I don't really have any sympathy for them. They weren't going to stay top dog forever. Obviously, AMD and NVIDIA want to make money too, which means that they're going to have to innovate and try and make something that's better than your product. So that's kind of what competition is. Intel kind of got off scot-free for quite a few years because AMD was kind of shit in the bed with their processors. But now AMD is kind of taken over as like the more popular brand slightly over Intel, especially with like the leaps and bounds they've been taking with their processors and shit. And they've also been giving Nvidia a little bit more run for their money over the years too, as new iterations of their graphics cards come out. So I don't know what to tell them. Simple thing is skill issue, get good. What about you, Carter? What's your opinion on it?
I have a Steam Deck.
Beautiful. And you know what that runs off of? AMD.
Okay.
Damn, son.
I was gonna say it runs off of fun because that's also accurate. Valve sponsor us.
I don't know. Kane comes in here every now and again. We might lose that sponsorship quick.
Nah, dude, we'll be fine.
But
Just make Half-Life 3 and we won't have any problems.
exactly. See, then he'll be happy. Then you'll satiate him. Let's see here. Actually, I think this next article. I think Julio and Philip played this game a lot. But anyways, apparently, Epic Games free-to-play brawler battle royale Rumbleverse is reportedly shutting down next month, 6 months after its commercial release. Rumbleverse
yeah.
is, yeah, I know, right?
Go ahead.
Is reportedly shutting down at the end of February, with the first store delisting starting today. If the rumor of this cancellation proves to be true, players only have 1 more month to enjoy Rumbleverse before this free-to-play brawler battle royale goes offline. Let's see here. Rumbleverse was released for PC via Epic Games Store, PS4, PS5, Xbox One, and Series X/S in August of last year. This free-to-play brawler battle royale pits 40 players against each other with the ultimate goal of being the last survivor. While this premise is very similar to every other battle royale, Rumbleverse distinguishes itself from its competitors with its cartoony aesthetic and wrestling-style melee system. Let's see. The second season of Rumbleverse, which launched in November of last year, brought various improvements to the default game with new weapons, special moves, and customization options. Despite being one of the best multiplayer games of 2022, Rumbleverse will reportedly shut down at the end of February. Tom Henderson, an industry insider, uh, with a record of accurate leaks, shared a message on Twitter to announce the end of Rumbleverse. While he didn't share his source, Henderson stated that Rumbleverse store delisting should start today, with an official announcement from either developer Iron Galaxy or publisher Epic Games coming soon. Um, in the comments of this Twitter post, several players mourned at the end of Rumbleverse by sharing some of their favorite moments spent playing. While some refused to accept that the game could come to an end, others remembered playing Rumbleverse with their friends or regretted spending money on the game. Other Twitter users were not surprised by the rumor of Rumbleverse shutting down, as competition is fierce in the Battle Royale market with competitors such as Fortnite, PUBG, and Apex Legends. Notice how they didn't say Warzone 2 in there. Some players hoped that since Rumbleverse's developer Iron Galaxy would no longer be working on this game, it could develop a new entry in its popular Killer Instinct franchise. Um, Let's see. Should this rumor prove to be true, Rumbleverse will shut down a server 6 months after its original release. Despite being free to play, Rumbleverse features a Battle Pass model that unlocks a variety of cosmetics as players earn XP through missions and matches. The game also includes microtransactions. Obviously, that's kind of how you get the Battle Pass. As players can purchase the in-game currency Brawler bills to purchase various elements from the Rumbleverse shop. Players will now have a month to unlock everything Rumbleverse has to offer and spend their Brawler bills on cosmetic items before saying goodbye to the Brawler Battle Royale game. How do you feel about that, Carter? Did you play it at all?
I did. I had a pretty good time with it. It's a really unique spin on Battle Royale games, and I feel like it should have been given more of a chance to thrive.
That's fair.
And just to clarify, because that article implies that it was just leaked and there's no updates since then, they have come out. It is shutting down February 28th. So that is a confirmed axing.
That's unfortunate.
But yeah, no, it was, especially for the fucking Battle Royale genre, it was super unique, and it's, I don't know, I guess if they've delisted it, I can't tell you to go download it and play it, but yeah, super good time with the limited interaction I've had with it.
I
Kind of
never
a bummer
played
to
it.
see that it didn't last 6 months, but
I never played it, but like I said, a couple of my buddies, including Carter, obviously, they played it and were having a blast. Obviously, it's not a game that they were playing every day. However, um, the game was still fun enough for them to come back and play every now and again. So it's unfortunate that we're seeing another battle royale and the competition get held, as people would say. Yeah.
yeah.
So, I guess good luck to the developers, and hopefully they find a they finally go with make another Killer Instinct game, because I don't think they've made one since the Xbox One came out.
Truthfully, I didn't even realize it was the same studio,
I didn't either.
but that makes a whole lot more sense now.
So yeah. Moving on to the next article. Let's see here. Exclusive from IGN. Xbox, Nintendo, and Sony won't be part of E3 in 2023. So there's not going to be a fucking E3, is what I'm hearing.
No, that's not what they said.
Like, all right. Moving on to the next topic, I guess. There's not going to be an E3. Anyway, no, play. Why don't you tell us about this, Carter?
Yeah. So the last fucking stronghold of the resistance, Microsoft has announced that they are also not going to be at E3 this year. For those who are not in the know, Sony and Nintendo. Well, Sony, I think Sony only skipped like the last two. Nintendo's been doing direct live streams like the week of for the last fucking almost 10 years at this point, it feels like. A while. And Xbox was really like the only one that was pulling up as far as like major first party devs go with anything for E3. You know, pretty famously, there was the whole Cyberpunk showcase that was part of the Microsoft show where they pulled Keanu Reeves out and had all those epic Reddit karma moments. Um, I'm trying to think of another example, but I think that's really the only big one that they've had recently. um, but yeah, they are no longer going to make an appearance at E3 itself, I assume, so they can do another live stream like they did this month. So yeah, big dogs are out. There'll still probably be. God, yeah, I really don't even know now that I'm actually having to sit down and think about this. I don't know that there's going to be like a stage show at all.
Because those were always like literally the big three. Like they were
Because
the
the
ones
only
that came
one,
out
like,
with like accessories, obviously with like developers coming out. But I mean, like it was usually developers in combination at Microsoft or Sony or Nintendo shows to show off games that were going out exclusively for the time being to them.
yeah, and it's like, I don't know. This article says that there's some kind of frustration from someone at Microsoft about the way the show's being run, but even if you don't, even if you don't take that into consideration, like the way that journalism as a whole, or like news reporting has gone as a whole the last decade, the writing was kind of on the wall. Like, you don't need to have this giant, extravagant showcase to kind of centralize and focus all the game announcements into one spot. Because people are so, like, the people who are diehard gaming, the people who are going to pay your bills, keep your company's lights on, so to speak, um, they're gonna be always online. They're gonna know, whether it's following them on social media, fucking seeing some people like, people like us, gaming podcasts, news reporters, whatever you want to fucking call them.
Yeah.
There's people that are gonna report shit the second anyone starts inhaling to start the sentence. This game is coming out. Here's what's happening here. Like, you don't need to have. Nintendo could come out on Tuesday at like 11 a.m. and say, hey, new Pokemon game announcement comes out in November, and people would fucking buy it in droves. You want to know how I know that that's what would happen? Because it's what they did with Scarlet and Violet last year.
Yeah.
They announced it on some random Sunday in like the middle of February, unannounced, completely unprecedented. It was just like, hey, 12-hour notice, we're doing a live stream at 9 a.m. tomorrow, tune in. And they just fucking unveiled the next mainline Pokemon games. That used to be, it used to be such a big event that you had to have everybody there in a room because it was the only way you were going to get the fucking word out. Like, not only was that a showcase for gamers, for fans, it was like a fucking, like, investors meeting to some extent. But you don't need to do that anymore because anyone can come out, and they're all doing it now. They can come out the week of, 2 weeks beforehand, and just say, hey, go to our Twitch channel at this time. We're going to show you the next fucking year of our schedule. And people will tune in. People do tune in. Anytime there's like a 3-month drought of Nintendo not doing a live stream direct showcase, Nintendo Twitter freaks the fuck out. They turn into like tinfoil hat conspiracy theorists trying to figure out when they're going to announce the next Nintendo game. Like it's almost self-fulfilling, honestly. Because they sit there and they can run it up to the clock. Like, we're at a point now, the only other major game that is coming out that we know about this year for Nintendo, like as far as first party shit goes, there's like a Kirby remaster coming out later this month, and then fucking Tears of the Kingdom, like the next Zelda game. Nobody knows what's coming after that. We don't know what the fall game is, what the winter game is. And they don't have to announce that until Zelda's out. They can announce that like launch week for Zelda. They can be like, hey, here's our next 6 months. Here's what we're doing with Pokemon. Here's a new Mario game. Whatever the fuck else they want to do. People will buy it in 6 months. And it leads back into what I was talking about earlier, where it gives them so much more room to spend the time that they need to work on those games rather than just saying, hey, here's a game that's coming out, get hyped for it. Because they've also fallen into that trap with Bayonetta 3 and Metroid Prime 4. Granted, we finally got Bayonetta 3 last year, but they said they were working on it the year the Switch came out, which was 2017. So people waited 5 years for Bayonetta 3. You know, it still doesn't have a release date or any news whatsoever. Metroid Prime 4.
Which is
When the
unfortunate.
last time we heard about that was 2017, when Reggie said, hey, they're making it.
That's why you don't.
They don't have to crutch on that anymore.
They really don't. A lot of people, especially after the pandemic, a lot more people nowadays have computers of some sort.
Yeah.
Not too hard for them to just tweet it out, because you already know, like, the people that are immediately going to buy the games. They already follow all of their favorite publishers and their console stands or whatever. They all follow whatever they need to follow on social media, so it's just like they just got to put out one post saying, "Hey, be there at this time."
Right. Well, and for the studio too, like I can't imagine how much a fucking event like that would try to nickel and dime those people for like rental spaces.
Oh, for sure.
Well, I'm sure you have to rent out the area that you're promoting all your shit at. So
Oh
it's a
yeah.
huge cost effective thing. They're saving so much money just by saying, hey, let's get some intern to throw a fucking 25-minute PowerPoint presentation together and then we'll just throw it up on Twitch next week.
Shit. Or just like just say, "Hey, we're putting it on
Like
fucking YouTube or some
investment.
shit."
Yeah, exactly. And then they're done.
Yeah.
Like, yeah,
So,
it sucks. You're not sitting there. You're not getting like the crowd reveal shit that you would at like the event itself. But I mean, we still kind of have shit like that with the Game Awards, which honestly have kind of been more of like a ground zero for gaming announcements anyway. Like, it's, I don't know. I feel like a lot of the E3 hype has been taken over as far as like in-person events go. A lot of that's been taken over by Game Awards the last few years. Which,
yeah.
like, especially this year's Game Awards. This year's Game Awards kicked ass. I know
Oh yeah.
people had
No,
a
I
lot of
heard fucking
reservations with the last
fantastic
couple
things
of
about it.
years. I was watching that shit live, and the amount of times I got out of my chair and screamed, "What the fuck?" Because I was so stoked about shit.
It's like,
Like,
what the fuck?
that's where they announced Hades 2. That's where
Oh,
the
oh,
devs who
all
have
right,
gone
never
on
mind.
record
You
so many
instantly.
times.
Did you faint too, Carter?
Not only did I faint because I was getting another Supergiant game, Supergiant has gone on record every single time they make a game because people are always like, "Oh, where's the sequel? Where's the sequel?" And they're like, "Oh, we don't do sequels. It's one and done. We tell the story we're here to tell." So I recognized that it was a Supergiant game when they started the trailer. I did not think it was going to be Hades 2 until the music kicked in. And then I was still in denial until they showed me the title screen.
Yeah, there it is. Yours like,
Yeah.
guys' vocal cords were just straight raw by the time they
Pretty
got done with the
much.
gameplay
Or
reveal.
like, this is going to stick out to me. This continues to stick out to me as such a giant turning point for the Game Awards being like the place to announce shit. Do you remember the Smash Bros. Ultimate launch?
I do not actually.
So the Game Awards that year were the night of the Smash Bros. Launch.
Oh,
What they did is they were selling DLC, they were selling the expansion packs, like in the pre-marketing up the pre-release marketing up to it. But what they didn't do was tell anybody what the plan for the DLC characters were. It was Masahiro Sakurai, the creator, going, "Hey, on top of the base roster, which is already fucking insane because they added in like 7 new characters and brought back literally every character they've ever used. Here's 6 more characters. I understand if you have reservations about buying this before you know who they are. If you don't want to buy it day one, we are always going to sell this as a bundle. We understand. But we appreciate your support if you trust us." I was at GameStop that night. People were very on the fence, myself included, about putting another $35 up. I think it was $25 for a season pass that we knew nothing about other than the amount of characters we were getting.
Yeah, that's most
But
people at this
two,
point are fairly reserved slash like conservative slash paranoid about
well, this
supporting
was in
something like that.
2018, so it was like 5 fucking years ago. So we weren't even at the point that bridges had been burned overall.
Oh,
But
okay.
we get to this point. I don't remember what was in between it, but Jeff Knightley's sitting there, or standing there, talking about, oh, let's roll into the next announcement. Oh, blah blah blah. Stage cuts to black. No one knows what's going on. Jeff's playing it up. Oh, what's this? What's going on? Whoa, someone's breaking in. Building up the hype machine. Fucking Atlas comes in, Nintendo comes in, and they're just like, hey, fuck faces. We know the game comes out in 10 minutes. DLC 1 for Smash Ultimate is Joker from Persona 5. When I tell you that that line reformed at the register for people to buy the season pass, like I don't know how you top that. And
I,
then up until my favorite fucking subgenre of videos, and part of me, I'm so sad that they've stopped doing DLC for Smash, because my favorite thing during the Smash Ultimate cycle, and they're still up on YouTube, they would host like viewing events before COVID at the Nintendo of America shops or the Pokemon Center, whatever they are over in New York. And they would just have a giant TV display in the middle of the room, like the main room. And they would just host, like if they were doing a direct, if they were doing a showcase for a game, they would host it and you could just go in and watch it there with a bunch of people. And they would do one for every Smash character DLC up until COVID hit. And it was just the happiest I have ever seen a mob of people. It is such a fucking serotonin rush.
so
But I don't know. What were we talking about initially? I went off on a tangent about the
it's
before time.
it's okay.
E3.
I
Yeah,
think
no. This
E3.
goes to show you don't need E3 to get people hyped about shit. Because you can do shit as simple as that and just I don't know. It's a field of dreams. If you build it, they will come type thing. But yeah, the writing was on the wall for E3, so
That's fair. At this
it's not
point,
surprising.
E3 has kind of like it's past its prime essentially. Cost versus like payoff is just not there anymore, unfortunately.
Pretty much.
Which
Plus,
I
even when they
myself
started
I
doing the
enjoyed
live streams,
E3. That's one of the things that I actually enjoyed. Like all right, one of the things I looked forward to on I think they used to do E3 on I don't remember what channel it was though.
probably G4,
Might have been G4 back in the day.
G4 or Spike
I think it was
would have been
both.
like the two.
I think it was both,
Oh,
but
it's the same parent studio, so probably.
yeah. But yeah, no, those were really good memories. So it kind of obviously to me it kind of sucks that they aren't doing it anymore, but obviously I understand why they don't really want to do it anymore. So yeah. Um, I guess we'll have to see what kind of goodies we get from them this year on their own like directs and stuff. I'm sure we'll get plenty of notifications about it. So oh,
Nintendos are usually
here
the
you
only
go,
one worth
Carter.
fucking anyway.
Carter, I'm sure you're gonna love that. You're gonna love
I
talking
just
shit
went
about
on a
this.
rant. Do
Oh
I have to
no,
go on
no,
another
no.
one?
We're about to go on another one. So, according to Kotaku,
It was
there's
a
been a
happy rant.
report that Sony is going to be slashing the PlayStation VR 2's production after disappointing pre-orders. By the way,
Hey,
apparently Sony denies it, but
um, here's a thought. If you're going to sell a peripheral for your console that requires you to also own the console in addition to this peripheral that you are making, make the peripheral cost more than the console that you need to play it on. Because when you do that, you are going to have disappointing pre-order sales.
just a
Why
tad.
would you want to buy something that is an extension of the console? Like if it was a standalone VR set, fine.
That'd be a
I think
different
that's a
story.
super reasonable price for the tech in there. If it were a standalone headset. But it's not. Because you also need to own, granted the prices haven't gone up in the States, but everywhere else the PS5 has seen a price hike since launch. And you are asking them to invest that money plus another 500 to have this set up. To play
Whereas
something that
if
for
they
most of the
don't do
population is
that,
going to make you motion sick in an hour.
like let's say that for like shits and giggles, they like some people were like in my like realm of influence or whatever, someone was trying to tell me, hey, so I got my tax refund or some shit like that, and I was thinking about getting a PS5 and the VR2. Do you think that's a good idea? I'd be telling them instead to put that money towards a PC.
Or even just the PS5 itself. I don't
If
have
they
a
wanted to
problem with
save
my
money,
PS5.
I
I
would tell them
fucking
just to
love my
get the
PS5.
PS5. If they were okay with spending that $1,000 just on something else, then I would say just buy a PC. Because eventually, all Sony games should like make their way on some sort of like computer vendor, whether it's Steam, Epic Games, or some shit like that. They usually make their way on a PC eventually. So it's just like a
Seems to
matter
be
of
the trend
patience.
with the recent shit, yeah.
So it's just like it. If you're willing to spend like $1,100, $1,200 on a bundle that, let's be honest, you probably are not going to be. First of all, you're probably not going to be playing the VR2 a lot, and let's assume that even if you did want to, you might even not be able to due to like motion sickness or some shit like that. So it's just
Yeah.
like there's a lot of factors that go into it. Plus, there's just like from what I know, there's not going to be a lot of games day one either. So it's just like the
Not original. So it's kind of in the same boat as the console itself, where there's not a ton of shit exclusive to it, but they've done a lot of backward, like, I don't know, enhanced remastering or enhanced ports, however you want to call it, where they're like rebuilding the games with the functionality of what the VR2 headset can do,
oh, I
like the
see.
adaptive triggers and shit. But I mean, it's still, you're exactly right. It's still shit
It's just
like the
like the
Walking Dead game, or I don't
it's
know,
just,
whatever else is out.
and unless they that you are still okay with doing that too, it's just like, are you gonna like all those games that are coming out? Because I know that there's one coming out based off of Horizon Zero Dawn.
Yeah.
There's one. I could have swore there's a VR game or some shit based off of Dead Space. Or am I? Is that headcanon?
I don't know about that. You might be mistaking it for there was like an arcade cabinet back in the day, but I don't
Maybe
know if
that's
there's
what
a
I'm
VR
thinking
game.
of. Oh yeah, no, it must have been because I remember like a Wii remote kind of cursor going on the screen. Okay, never mind.
Yeah,
Not
they
not about
had
the
an
Dead Space
on-rail
thing.
shooter game.
Yeah.
No, there was
So
a Wii game that was a port of the on-rails arcade shooter.
okay.
It was kind of like a House of the Dead type situation.
Okay. That must be what I was thinking of. But nonetheless, there's only going to be a handful of games that are coming out for it, and from what I know, they aren't getting any more games like that are already out for VR, unless they are like Beat Saber and shit. Do you know anything about that, Carter?
I mean, we've gone over it in a previous episode, but I don't think they've announced anything since the launch lineup as far as what the future has.
I see. So it's just like you have no idea what games are going to be coming out. You have no idea how long they're actually going to support it because Sony has a very 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 bad history of just kind of like abandoning their fucking accessories because, they they just aren't optimized.
Nah, dude, the PlayStation Move is sick.
Yeah, dude. Just like so they don't exactly have the best history. So like if the person was still hellbent on getting a PS5, obviously I'd tell them go for it because obviously the PS5 is a pretty good fucking console. But it's just
Yeah,
like,
no, I'll encourage them till the cows come home. Like, hey, if you want a PS5, get a PS5.
yeah.
There's shit to play.
But
But
it's just like but then I'm gonna ask you like, are you okay with like, let's say that we did build you a PC or whatever, or like, what's the main reason you want a PS5? Like, do you want to be able to play the exclusives right away or some shit like that? Do you just like the performance that it has or the optimization, so on and so forth? And based off of that, I may either just tell you, why don't you just get a PC instead, or just say, hey, save your money and get a PS5. Cut that bill in half and then call it good. Put the rest somewhere else.
yeah, or
But,
even like a fucking Steam Deck anymore. That's
or a
starting.
Steam
That's
Deck.
gonna
Shit.
be the year of the Steam Deck, man.
From what I've heard, I think
Mm.
they already started working on the second version, didn't they?
they've said that they're gonna pretty continually update stuff. They've said like the second iteration or like the first big thing they're gonna go for is like battery life, which I think is admirable. It's the only gripe I really have with mine is half the time I play it plugged into the wall. But
How long does it last?
depends on the game. If I'm on, if I'm playing like an indie game, one of my pixel games, I can get like 4 or 5 hours out of it. But if I'm going in playing like Elden Ring or something beefy, it's usually only a couple hours.
I see.
So I don't know. It's kind of in the same ball field as first version of the Switch was,
Yeah.
which isn't an excuse or anything. But I don't know.
My
To their credit, it's got pretty good, I would say, like high medium settings on most stuff,
That's
like
pretty
intense
decent.
stuff. So for a fucking handheld, that's not bad at all.
And it kind of shits on the Switch indirectly by doing that too,
Oh,
which I
yeah.
find it
Um,
hilarious.
I know Bethesda bad, id bad. We've talked about how bad they are as a studio in the last couple months, but Doom Eternal looks fucking gorgeous on that thing.
Oh, does it?
Gorgeous. Even not having an OLED. Oh, that was the other big one that they want to do. They're gonna do a model with an OLED screen or look into it.
Oh yeah.
And
My
then
only thing with battery
behind the
life
battery life,
is
that's my biggest gripe.
the battery life thing is kind of like troublesome though, because obviously if you want a longer battery life, you're gonna have to have a bigger battery, which means that they're probably either gonna have to like s- like diminish on the cooling system that they have in there, which would mean that they would have to underperform some of the parts or all of them, or they would have to make the chassis like thicker. That way they can put a thicker battery in there. So I'm kind of curious on how they're actually going to balance that.
Well, I mean, to their credit, as far as the optimization goes, I haven't done it myself because I'm a fucking idiot when it comes to the PC shit, but you can go, it is fully customizable in regards to like the settings.
I did hear that it was pretty pretty
It is
what would you call it?
like if you're a,
Free ranging. Like you can.
yeah,
It's
like
almost
if
like a
you
Samsung
sit
when you put it
there,
in developer mode.
yeah, if you like to tweak with settings and stuff, it is absolutely friendly towards that. And it is fully customizable. To the point that one of the first major patches they rolled out very shortly after I got mine, one of the features they were touting is you can go in and set up like custom, like, you know, every time you boot up a PC or a console, it's got like the whole, oh, you're playing your PS5 type deal.
Yeah.
Um, you can customize, like fully customize your Steam Deck intro.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Um, it's made some great shit posts. I know when it first came out, my favorite one was someone they completely redid the Futurama intro, but at the very end it just said Steam Deck in the font instead.
That's
Everything
great.
else it was just the Futurama intro.
That is fucking great.
Um, but yeah, no, there's options out there. A lot more options out there that are way more cost effective if you want to get into VR
Yeah.
than what Sony is currently offering. Even even Daddy Zuckerberg and his fucking Oculus Quest is
Better is
probably
a
a
better
better investment.
alternative.
And it's standalone.
Yeah. Just gotta have
Big
space.
fan of that. Pretty much.
So. So
Plus, I
yeah.
think it's the only place you can play Resi 4 VR. So,
Even see there you go.
uh,
So yeah. So that's our impressions on it. Now, if you guys choose to get the VR2, I guess it is what it is. However, I will make fun of you. I'm kidding.
yeah,
I'm kind
not
of kidding.
directly.
I'm kind of kidding.
It'll be it'll be like a backhanded compliment. Like, wow, I wish I could so recklessly spend money like that.
Yeah, it'll be
I
something
say
funny.
as
I
I'm
promise.
doing this episode into my $2,000 phone that I got this week.
Hey, listen. That's still a better investment.
It's a gorgeous phone. I love it so
Wait,
much.
which one you get? The Fold or the
I got
Fold?
the Fold.
Yeah,
Yep,
very nice.
fucking love it.
Have you been watching some pretty high definition videos on that bitch yet?
Yeah, Hentai Haven looks great.
Beautiful. That's what I love to hear. But yeah, so that's our impressions on it. Good luck to the people actually buying it.
Yeah,
Moving
Godspeed.
on to the next article. This one should be pretty short. Let's see here. James Gunn and Peter Safran revealed the first part of the first chapter of the DCU,
Oh,
dubbed
dude, that's
Gods
not
and
short.
Monsters, which includes a
That's not.
Superman movie, The Brave and the Bold, a Green Lantern HBO series, and much more. Here, hold on. Let me see if it'll take me anywhere here. So movies are going to be Superman Legacy, The Brave and the Bold, Swamp Thing, which, by the way, I did hear that Swamp Thing is supposed to be more horror oriented, so that could be
Yup.
cool. Um, The Authority and Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow, and then TV shows are going to be Waller, Lanterns, Creature Commandos, Booster Gold, and Paradise Lost. How you feel about that,
Hell,
Carter?
I'm very happy that they finally have like a proper roadmap, and I hope this gets them back on track to what could be and what should be a very great film universe. I think their biggest thing out of the gate was the fact that there wasn't really any kind of sense of leadership or direction
Truth.
um, that stretched beyond, hey, let's do a Justice League movie. So the fact that they seem to have a set at least 7 year plan in mind is pretty good. Um, One other thing that I want to highlight from this that I think is really good as well. They are still gonna do like their not DCU stuff. So they finally properly confirmed that the Robert Pattinson Batman movie is going to be a trilogy of movies. I think the second one starts shooting this year for like a 2025 release date. Um, Joker 2 is still happening. They're still doing. There's a couple other movies that they've mentioned as well. But they have said that those are going to be completely distinct from the quote unquote DCU or the main universe that they're going for. Um, and they were pretty open about saying that it's going to be more like experimental as far as the kind of films that they do with those characters or with those stories, which I think is exactly what the whole superhero genre needs. I think a lot of the burnout around the MCU right now is the fact that you are kind of forced to commit to a single overarching narrative, and it definitely feels like you're missing out on shit, and you will miss out on shit if you don't watch everything. Um, so the fact that there's still an outlet to enjoy these beloved characters in a way that's not a giant fucking commitment of your life, I think is really smart.
Agreed. Plus, Marvel kind of needs some competition, in all honesty.
I think that's going to be it for him. Um, One thing that I also thought was funny about the current plan that they've got laid out, he pretty much confirmed what everybody's thought since Ezra Miller started being themselves. Um, the Flash is going to reset everything.
Which is good.
So it's going to be like a soft reset for everything. So Flash is going to be the last thing in like this era, I guess we can call it. Um, so Justice League, Wonder Woman, Suicide Squad, all that stuff. This is going to be kind of the endpoint for that. And then they've said that Blue Beetle and Aquaman 2 are going to kind of be the entry points for the new one.
Solid. I like to hear that. I actually like Jason Momoa as Aquaman. I think he did fine. It's just the
Mm-hmm.
script was shit.
And they're keeping him, so
Well, I also heard that he also is interested in playing as Lobo too. So I wonder what if they would do something about that specifically. I'm
he wouldn't be
curious.
the first actor to juggle multiple roles in a comic book universe. So
Truth.
they let they let Josh Brolin do it. So for
I think
Marvel,
he would make a pretty good Lobo.
it'd be interesting. I think. Well, and that kind of goes back to, hey, if they don't make it into the big universe, do a standalone Lobo movie. They're like, see, they're opening themselves up. They can do Fuck, do you know how many like one-shot movies they can do? They can sit
Uh,
there and be like, hey, let's do this one-shot comic thing. Boom, standalone movie.
that's fair. Uh, I think it would be like what other I guess what other heroes slash like antagonists slash anti-heroes would you actually want to see in one-off movies?
I maybe not necessarily a movie, but like, give me a John Wick style show about Deathstroke.
Oh, see now
Like
that
not
would be
Will
pretty
Smith
lit.
Deathstroke. Give me like a proper Deathstroke where he's just a fucking badass.
Okay, I
Give
could
me
get
like a
behind that.
good. Give me a good Teen Titans movie. Do like I don't know. Do like a 2 episode miniseries or like a 4 or 5 episode miniseries that goes and like establishes each of those individual characters on like HBO Max. Build that up into a standalone movie. Have them
Okay.
fight. Have them fight Deathstroke. Have them fight whoever else it is they fight. My knowledge of Teen Titans is based on the 2005 cartoon, so
Yeah, basically.
which is to this day one of my favorite DC things ever.
Oh,
Oh,
so I'm glad that they finally have a plan. Now let's see how well they execute it. That's the hard part.
yeah, for sure. But I don't know. James Gunn is one of the few people I would have faith in. He's got a pretty strong track record with these comic book movies, so
That's fair.
hoping that continues in May. So we will see.
Yep. Speaking of shows, apparently, which I don't know how I feel about this, King of the Hill revival ordered by Hulu. Mike Judge, Greg Daniels, and original cast set to return. Hulu is laying out
Yeah,
the
the
welcome
ones
mat
that are
for the Hill
live.
family. The stream service, I'm assuming is what they mean, is
Yeah.
reviving King of the Hill from 20th television animation with co-creators Mike Judge and Greg Daniels set to return, as well as our beloved former cast. Judge will reprise his role as Hank Hill, while Kathy Najimy will be back as his wife Peggy, Stephen Root as Bill, Pamela Adlon as Bobby Hill, Johnny Hardwick as Dale, and Lauren Tom as Min. The reboot has been in the works since 2017 San Francisco Sketchfest, where Judge and Daniels reconnected with the cast and celebrated the 20th anniversary of the old Fox animated show. Um, Saladin Patterson, what the Wonder Years' last OG, will join the production as executive producer and showrunner. Three Arts, Michael Rottenberg and Howard Klein, and Bandera Entertainment's Dustin Davis will serve as executive producers. Quote, we are all excited to welcome back Hank, Peggy, and Bobby, and to see what they have to say about the world we live in and continue the conversations we began years ago, said Craig Erwich, President, ABC Entertainment, Hulu, and Disney branded television streaming originals in a statement. This show has all of the perfect ingredients to meet this moment in animation at Hulu, and we're so thankful to be having those conversations along with this talented group. Um, let's see. Quote, let's see here. Yeah, man, I tell you what, man. That dangled old Okay, that's cringe. I'm not reading the rest of that. I couldn't. Anyways,
Doing the fucking voice.
I can't. I can't. My fucking nose is stuffed.
I'll tell you what.
I can't do it. The Emmy winning series ran for 13 seasons on Fox from 1997 to 2010, and is a top animated performer on Hulu. Quote, I'm so lucky to have been part of this show from the very beginning and couldn't be more excited to visit Arlen, Texas once again with Mike Grade and Saladin, who together are bringing a whole new perspective to the original series. Marcy Proieto, Executive Vice President of 20th Television Animation. We all want to thank the fans for their overwhelming support because they helped make this happen, and I can't wait to share this new iteration through the lens of 2023 America and the words of our beloved Peggy Hill. Oh yeah. Well, how do you feel about that, Carter? You excited? You scared for dear life? What's going on?
I so if it were any other show or any other creator, I would be a bit more concerned. Mike Judge's track record is pretty fucking great. The Beavis and Butthead revival that happened last year was phenomenal. So I have no doubt that he's going to at least try and provide that same level of quality. I will say I'm a little bit bummed that it seems like the ending to the original run is potentially going to be undermined because I thought it ended really, really well.
Yeah, it was pretty wholesome.
Um, but I don't know. I'm all for more adult-oriented animation,
That's fair.
especially in the current fucking crater that has been left in light of recent events. Um, not that they're canceling Rick and Morty, but I don't know. It's gonna be good too. Between this and the Futurama reboot, I'm glad that there's other shit for people to re-obsess over.
Yes.
Uh, and if it sheds some more light on people watching the OG run of that show as well, um, I think it's criminally underrated by a lot of people. I had also, up until I started watching it a lot during like the pandemic, but before that, I kind of just passed it off as another whatever show. Like I'd seen a couple episodes, but they didn't really click. But it is just so. It's really bizarre, especially in the current landscape of adult animation. It's bizarre to see a show that's got as much like heart throughout its entire run and like sweet moments. I don't know. There's a lot of feel good moments in that show.
Yeah.
Um, throughout its entire run, and that was part of what I really like and still really like about like the golden era of The Simpsons is that they're able to weave such fucking unique out there comedy, but also making you give a shit about the people that they're using to tell their stories and jokes.
Hmm.
So I don't know. It's a balancing act, but they did it right. So
Yeah.
hopefully they can still do that.
Yeah. I'm basically of the same sentiment. I
I think
am
the only
like
part,
I think the ending to the original series won't necessarily be undermined as long as they stay with the same shtick. But I also don't want them to turn Bobby into a clone of his dad, too.
I think they made it pretty clear throughout the original run that's not going to be the case.
So I'm curious to see like how far they're gonna age Bobby. I'm curious to see like what kind of like career path he's going now, whether or not he's going like he's probably not going to college, so is he going into the arts? Is he just trying to find his way still while like either living with Hank and them still? Like I'm curious to see what they're gonna do with it.
Yeah, they can go a lot of ways. The only part that really raises any kind of flag for me is the fact that Luann's voice actor and oh fuck, what's her boyfriend's name?
I can picture his dumb face.
I know I can't think of his name.
I can't
But
remember
both
it.
of those voice actors have died in real life.
Oh,
So it's gonna be interesting to see how they acknowledge that.
yeah.
Just because they were so fucking integral to so much of that show.
Yeah. I'll be
But
I'll be curious to see if they try and risk it for the biscuit and just like ask Alchemist who? See if they just say like the classic of, oh well, Luann and her husband they no longer live in Texas. They live in
yeah,
fucking
they moved out to the farm.
yeah. Why don't we ever go see Luann? She don't like us no more. But
Yeah,
but yeah.
perfect.
So we'll have to see what happens with that. I also didn't even know that they had passed away, so that's unfortunate.
Yeah, well, the boyfriend, and I feel shitty that I can't even think of his fucking name. He was voiced by Tom Petty from Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers.
Oh.
Pretty big, pretty seminal rock act in the 80s.
Oh. Well shit.
So, or wait,
Alright.
was it Greg? Oh fuck, I'm gonna feel bad if I get that wrong. Was it
Oh
him or Greg
Jesus.
Allman?
This guy over here.
I know. And his name is Lucky, by the way. Okay, it was Tom Petty. Yeah, no, there was an episode or a couple episodes where Greg Allman from the Allman Brothers, voiced a guest character.
Oh, I see.
So
Well, I guess synopsis is. I guess we'll have to wait and see what happens with it.
yeah, well, I mean, I'll
I
give it
have
a
high hopes
shot.
for it. I have high hopes. Um, based off of what you said about Mr. Mike Judge, I'm assuming that they won't completely butcher the series.
He's great. If you want like examples of his recent work, Paramount Plus has they did a Beavis and Butthead movie and then like another revival season, which are just fantastic. God, they didn't miss a beat.
Well, there you go. And there's the credentials right there.
And then he made, I don't know, he made Idiocracy. And if you haven't seen Idiocracy, you're missing out on one of the best comedies of all time.
Oh, well, shit. Well, now I feel bad.
You've never seen Idiocracy?
Probably not.
I quote it every fucking day.
Listen, man, there's a lot of words that people say
No,
when I'm
I'm
in
not
there.
saying that like I expect you to know it. That's how good it is.
I
It's
now
just part of
know
my
where
identity.
Carter gets all of his jokes from. I've
Most of
seen through
them,
the
like
lies.
you would be very surprised at the lack of original ideas that I have
Jesus.
because I just ripped the joke out of Idiocracy.
Yeah, but other people don't know that, so you're like the funniest guy of all
That's
time, bro.
true. They would only know if I ever outed myself on the internet.
True. Oh wait, that's awkward. Anyways, we'll just edit that out. It's fine.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Moving on to the next article. Halo dev shifting to Unreal Engine. No Halo Infinite Story content planned. A new report from Bloomberg
Wow.
has shed light on what's happening at 343 Industries, and it sounds like major changes are afoot within regards to the organization of the studio, the types of games it develops, and how it makes them. Starting off, the report said 343 Industries are majorly impacted by Microsoft's recent layoffs, with a reported 95 devs let go. Affected developers included dozens of veterans, including top directors, the report said. Um, it was previously reported that 343 might shift away from developing games and instead work with third party studios on new projects. 343 has already said that this is not necessarily true, and Xbox boss Matt Booty told Bloomberg that 343 will continue as internal developer for Halo and as the home of Halo. The report went on to state that 343's longtime partner, Certain Affinity, is making a new Halo game under the codename Tatanka. It started as a battle royale game and has now shifted in different directions, the report said. What's more, the report mentioned that 343 is potentially shifting to a new game engine, Epic's Unreal Engine. I'm assuming they mean 5. To make future titles, 343's existing engine, Slipspace, has proved difficult to use, the report said, and these issues have resulted in unannounced Halo Infinite modes like Extraction and Assault taking longer to release than expected. Um, the Tatanka game will be developed using Unreal, the report said. The use of Epic's engine has made some people inside 343 worried that Halo might no longer feel like Halo. To be fair, it doesn't really feel like much like Halo right now, anyway. So I don't think we're losing much on that. Finally, the report said 343 is not planning to release more story content for Halo Infinite. Developers have spent time creating prototypes of new Halo games in the Unreal Engine instead of working on story content for Halo, the report says. Halo former 343 designer Patrick Wren said on Twitter recently that the studio suffered from incompetent leadership up top. I'm not surprised about that. Um, Let's see here. Microsoft Gaming CEO Phil Spencer recently discussed the changes at 343, saying Halo remains critically important. He also said Halo is not going anywhere as Microsoft plans to keep making Halo games as long as Xbox exists. Spencer also defended Microsoft's latest layoff, saying tough decisions are necessary in business. I mean, that's one way to put it. Um, but yeah, so that's your latest Halo news. How do you feel about that, Carter?
I think the most surprising part of that whole spiel is that they're planning on any Halo Infinite content.
Yeah. I guess I mean they've stuck with it longer than I thought they would.
Oh, well, I didn't stick with it longer than they thought I would.
Yeah. Yeah. That's their fault though. because it's definitely not mine.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I would almost say it's that burned bridge status at this point.
Yeah,
Not that I've been super into Halo. I've been on record as saying I've only played the fucking Reach and then this one, but I don't see a point in getting my hopes up if they keep dropping the ball the way they've seemed to the last few years. So
right.
I'm good. Gears always seem cooler anyway. I like the chainsaws on the guns. So
That's fair. I'll give you
and the
that.
horde mode was fun. I've only played the horde mode a handful of times, but I had a pretty
Yeah,
good time when I played it.
from what I've been told, they've kind of deviated from that whole spiel.
I believe it. Well, and I think part of that's just because it's. I feel like horde mode started as like a response to Call of Duty Zombies because there was a point very shortly after World at War came out that everybody and their mom was chasing that fucking craze.
Yeah, that's fair. What the fuck? Oh, okay. Um, but yeah. So I mean, I still want Halo to eventually. I just want them to fix the fucking game at this point.
Yeah, I
Like,
mean it's still super disappointing and like it sucks for all those people that are lifetime fans. But
yeah. Like
I don't know. I
me.
think there's also a point you need to realize that dad's not coming back from the cigarette store and
Yeah.
tell mom to start looking for a new one.
I'd be okay with a new Halo Wars game. That would be cool, guys. That'd be pretty.
Didn't
That'd
they
be
make one
pretty
not
hip.
too long ago?
They made a Halo Wars 2 back in like 20. Actually, here, hold on. I don't know why I'm even trying to guess. I have a fucking computer right in front of me.
The phones
Halo.
that were away.
I know, right? Halo Wars 2. 2017. So they came out with
Jesus, has it
one.
been that long?
Yeah. However,
Okay.
the game was like not. It was very catered in the sense of like Halo 5 Guardians, where they really like their RNG boxes to give you new units to use in their blitz mode, and yeah, it didn't get the best reception. Also, it was incredibly unoptimized for PC, and it never came out on Steam or anything. It's still only on the Microsoft Store. And if you've
Oh
ever
yeah.
tried to install or buy or anything on the Microsoft Store before, you would know that it's incredibly fucking broken, and Microsoft just uses it as its red-headed stepchild that they just refuse to acknowledge and fix.
Dude, the Microsoft store saved me from playing PlanetSide 2.
Yeah, it could use a bit of work to say the least.
It's
But
unfortunate. It's probably in Game Pass though, isn't it? Isn't like every fucking
yeah,
first party Microsoft game on
es-
Game Pass?
essentially, yeah.
Yeah, so there you
Um,
go. It's play on Game Pass.
I It is. I guess we'll have to see what happens with 343 and how much influence they have on next or on future Halo games. I think if they can somehow make a turnaround on Infinite, and like if Destiny hadn't happened, I would say that'd be basically impossible, or even No Man's Sky. But the game isn't entirely dysfunctional. It has its positives, but they still have a ways to go. If they can fix those problems, I think they'll fix the relationship they have with their fan base pretty easily, and will actually get encouragement from said fan base to keep making more games or be more directly involved. Now, if they don't do that and they just like slowly start splitting away from actually giving it legitimate love and care to try and fix the damn game, that scares me because from what I understood, they're supposed to be in more of like a supervisory role from now on versus direct development. So,
Yeah.
I guess we'll. And as for them swapping development engines, I have heard really good things about Unreal Engine 5, and the engine itself looks fucking gorgeous.
Oh
So,
yeah, it's fantastic from what I've used. I mean, Fortnite, like fucking, oh Fortnite, but like look at Fortnite in its current state because that's all Unreal 5 and it looks amazing.
yeah. So, I have
I'm a
no
little rough
problems with
here.
them swapping engines, especially if what they're saying is true and isn't just like a hyperbole or them trying to scapegoat it. But if Slip Space is really is a problematic engine, then they should probably it's probably a good decision to actually swap engines. Now it's very possible that
Agreed.
they're just trying to say, hey, it's not our fault the game's shit. Um, the engine, yeah, the engine is the problem, okay?
Yeah, that's
Not
why we're bad at
us.
making games.
Yeah, yeah, it's all the engine's fault. But yeah, so I guess we'll have to see until this shit actually develops further. So that's all I really got on it. Carter, you got anything else on that
No, not
specifically? I
really.
should say.
I'm pretty apathetic about Halo. So,
That's fair.
like I said, I don't want any game to be bad, but
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like
The
there's
the
preventative
games have
measures
been
that aren't
pretty
being
disappointing
taken.
for like a decade now at this point, which is unfortunate.
But 5 has Nathan Fillion. Everyone loves Nathan Fillion.
Yeah. Let's see here. Here's another beat of bad news. Apparently EA canceled joint Apex Legends and Titanfall game.
Yeah,
Um,
that one bummed me out.
yeah. Titanfall 2 fans have been desperate for something resembling a sequel for years now, and it sounds like EA may have just canceled the next best thing. Bloomberg reports that a project called Titanfall Legends was quietly canceled yesterday amid a series of other cuts at the FIFA game publisher. The game would have taken place in a shared universe between Titanfall 2 and Apex Legends. Um, Two acclaimed Respawn Entertainment shooters with lots of similarities that have seen plenty of fan speculation about overlapping lore in the past. Um, Unlike the popular free-to-play BR, however, it was apparently planned as a single-player campaign game. Unfortunately, Bloomberg reports that the team of about 50 devs who were working on it were informed on Tuesday that the project has been cut. While the company would look for other positions to move the impacted staff to, anyone without a new position would be laid off. Um, EA did not immediately respond for comment. The publisher also canceled mobile versions of Apex Legends and Battlefield yesterday, with the studio behind the latter, Industrial Toys, getting shuttered in the process. Um, uh, it's not clear how many layoffs are taking place total across the company at this time. Jedi Survivor was delayed as well, as we all know, though the development team at Respawn was positive about the move on social media, touting it as an opportunity to give the expansive sequel the extra time and polish it needs. While it's not clear how far along the Titanfall Legends project was in development, fans will no doubt be left wondering what could have been. Back in 2021, a Respawn community manager told players there was nothing related to Titanfall in development, momentarily eliciting cries of anguish only for the studio's Twitter account to release the statement a day later saying that Titanfall is the very core of our DNA. Well, I guess you spliced that out of your DNA, didn't you? They're geneticists now. Obviously, as a Titanfall franchise lover, that sucks ass. Especially since I didn't even know about this game in development, so that's even
Well,
worse.
no one did. That was the thing.
Um, that seems like a kind of like a slap in the face for people that love the franchise. I definitely think that Titanfall deserves more praise than it gets. Because as a person that played both of them, I can safely say that that's probably one of the funnest FPSs I've ever played, and that's saying a lot. Um, so it just sucks. I'm hoping that eventually they do come out with something Titanfall related eventually, because I myself I don't really give a shit about BRs, so Apex Legends can is probably just gonna stay non-existent to me. So yeah,
Yeah, I would. I'm also a pretty big, especially 2. I've played both, but Titanfall 2 is, in my opinion, one of the best PvP shooters ever made. So it sucks to see that there's not really any mainline entries in that universe. I get Apex is big, and there's things that I do like about it. But I don't know. I just want another Titanfall game, man.
yep, basically. I want to be able to use the whole Titan thing, the whole Titan spiel.
Yeah,
That would
it's
be
pretty
pretty
rad.
cool. But yeah, so that's really all there is to that article. Just sadness and heartbreak.
pretty much.
Here, Carter, why don't you? This might make your day a little bit. Why don't you tell us about the Back for Blood, basically getting shuttered on development?
Don't do that. That one bums me out too. You know how I feel about Left 4 Dead. Um, yep. So Turtle Rock Studios has come out and said that they are ceasing support for Back for Blood, which sucks because it's only been out for fuck, I don't even know. Has it been a year?
I think so. I think it's approaching a year. Hold
It
on,
hasn't
once
been out
again.
long.
Once again,
Um,
I can just look this up on the handy dandy computer I have right in front of me.
Jesus Christ.
It's approaching 2 years old.
Fuck.
It came out in 2021 in
It
October.
did. Okay, yeah, it did. Because I remember taking work off for the beta and then not being able to get into the beta that I paid for. So that was,
Isn't that about a bitch?
and that honestly probably should have been. Oops. That should have been my warning sign, but I didn't listen. So, um, but yeah. Am I still there? Can you still hear me?
Yeah, I can still hear you, bud.
Okay, good. Yeah, sorry. I pushed a button and I wasn't sure how much I broke.
No, you're good.
Um, yeah, I don't really think they've. I don't know. I'm trying to check. I don't really think that they have a roadmap that they had tried to commit to or anything. Like I think the roadmap that they did have has been satisfied. So they've updated the game as much as they're going to. Um, it just kind of stinks to see it go, but I don't know. I feel like it dropped the ball a little bit in terms of being the Left 4 Dead spiritual successor that they wanted it to be. Um, that was another example of a game.
No,
Seems to be
like
a
last
theme
month.
tonight. Another example of a game that got announced a few years before it needed to.
Yeah. Back
And
for
one that I
Blood
can
was
relate to because I was really hyped for it.
Back for Blood was just really unfortunate because I myself am a very big Left 4 Dead fan. Okay, humongo
Mhm.
fan. All right, played the fuck out of it on 360. Probably put a solid like 200 hours into it, and that was without
I believe it.
mods because
I believe it.
consoles. So it's just like it really sucks. It really does suck. Um. So yeah, that's it's just really unlucky, bro. It's really unlucky.
Yeah. I think the problem was it crushed way too hard on that card system.
Yeah.
It was a cool system, just not enough to say, hey, let's build the whole game around this.
Oh, ooh, there we go. Okay, 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 okay. What's going on here? Unbridled wrath. Sure, we'll go with that. So I guess I guess like Turtle Rock. I don't really know what the future holds for them at this point because I mean they made didn't aren't isn't Turtle Rock the ones that made fucking Evolve too?
Yep.
So that means that their latest two video games have basically just flopped.
I don't think Back for Blood flopped. I think it sold pretty well. I just think the critical reception was not where it needed to be. As far as what their plans are, I'm not sure. I believe it was either right before or right after Back for Blood launched. They got bought out by Tencent, so
Oh well, they have the funding
God
behind them at
knows.
least.
God knows what will happen. Maybe we'll get more Valorant content.
Ah ha ha. Oh whoops. Um,
Shoot.
but yeah. So I guess we'll have to wait and see what happens with that. A lot of waiting and seeing today.
Yeah,
Um,
also a lot of shit getting announced.
yeah. Let's
I don't
see
know.
here.
Depressing news, but there's a lot of it this week.
Yeah,
So
it's great, dude. Just balancing out all the good that's happened this week. Just it's all about life's all about balance. You feel?
there was good that happened this week.
Oh, I'd like to think so.
All right, I won't deny that.
So, um, moving on to some more PlayStation news. PlayStation Plus collection cannot be claimed after May 9th. Write that date down, okay? Don't forget it.
Pretty big one, especially if you're in the market for the PS5s, which have started popping up a lot more in the wild.
Yeah. So Sony says it will focus efforts on adding new games to its PS Plus library of monthly games and its evolving games catalog, which is available as part of the PS Plus Premium and Extra tiers. In case you haven't grabbed any of the games currently available in the library, here's what you can download while you still have a few months left on the clock: Batman: Arkham Knight, Battlefield 1, Bloodborne, Call of Duty Black Ops 3, Crash Bandicoot Insane Trilogy, Days Gone, Detroit Become Human, Fallout 4, Final Fantasy 15 Royal Edition, God of War. I'm assuming they mean the 2018 version.
Yep.
Infamous Second Son, Monster Hunter World, Mortal Kombat 10, Ratchet and Clank, The Last Guardian, The Last of Us Remastered, Resident Evil 7 Biohazard, Uncharted 4 Thief's End, and Until Dawn. I can safely say that pretty much every game on this fucking list is worth at least adding to your library.
Yep. Um, Not that it matters now, but there is one game that has been cut from that library already. Not really a huge deal since there's a better version of it out, but they did start out giving out Persona 5 Vanilla as well with that. Um, which doesn't matter because everyone knows that Royal is the best version. But yeah, um, I thought this was a really cool like welcome gift for people that had PS5 because literally that was like the only prerequisite to getting it is owning a console. I mean, I get why they're doing it, but it also kind of seems like a cash grab because there's not really a reason for them to do that beyond say, hey, buy our new thing.
Agreed. Um, but yeah, so there's not really a reason why you can't grab these yet. They're all solid games for the most part. Obviously, Black Ops 3 might not have much of a population at this point, but I mean, it's free.
Um,
And also zombies.
I was gonna say I'm gonna go on the defense about the zombies mode in that game because the community agrees that that's the best it ever got.
All right. See now, I'm not a big like I played zombies as a kid, but I'm not to the level of what of Carter's definition. Okay.
If you played zombies as a kid, that Black Ops 3 package is your best bet because they remastered all of the classic maps.
Oh well, shit.
Yeah, all of the World at War stuff. From Black Ops 1, they did Kino, Ascension, Shangri La, Moon, and then they brought back the best Black Ops 2 map, which is Origins, on top of their own like DLC season, which is also stupidly solid. Like that game is the reason I'm so disappointed in the newer games because they set the bar so high.
Hmm. Oh shit! I didn't realize I had. I should probably actually do something about these. Okay. But yeah, so go ahead and grab those if you don't have them. Moving on to some more unfortunate news. Knockout City, all right, is shutting down forever on June 6th. Velen Studios revealed in a blog post the PvP dodgeball game will no longer be playable, with the exception of a PC only private server version, which will allow the game to live on forever. The lengthy post addressed to the community explained at length why the difficult decision was made by the team. You can read the excerpt. Okay. So, creating such a different game with no points of comparison and running live services for the first time in many of our careers has also made the past couple of years particularly challenging. Despite over 12 million players and billions of KOs around the globe, there are several aspects of the game in need of major disruption to better attract and retain enough players to be sustainable. Since we are a small indie studio, it's simply impossible for us to make those kinds of systemic changes in the live game while continuing to support it. Um, so it became clear to us that we needed to take a step back and pave the way for Velen to do what we need to do best by innovating. Now we can take everything we learned, everything we succeeded at, and everything that needs improvement and get to work on exploring new possible experiences for Knockout City and other games and products we are excited about. We're currently in the process of doing a comprehensive retrospective on every aspect of the game, all the community feedback and analytics data, and even our development processes. Our hope is that sometime in the not too distant future, all this information can be used to start work on what comes next in the Knockout City universe. While we can't promise that Knockout City will be back, what we can promise is that you'll continue to see new and innovative games from Velen Studios that will surprise and delight players all around the world. The team added that its final season, Season 9, will still unfold as normal beginning on February 28th. The 12-week season will feature 6 back-to-back events, each going on for about 2 weeks. On that same day, all real money transactions will be removed from the game. The final season's economy will be drastically altered as a parting gift to players, including a final premium brawl pass that will cost just 50 cents as opposed to the $10 version seen in previous seasons. We've packed every event in Season 9 with rewards for XP, style chips, and thousands of holobucks. Every event will also feature a massive sale shop with huge discounts, and almost every cosmetic we've ever sold will make its way into one of these sale shops. The rewards for league play, daily login bonuses, and the Brawl Pass have also been drastically increased, and the price of the premium Brawl will also be reduced to just 50 holobucks. Um, and the final 2 week farewell event called Thanks for the KOs will begin on May 23rd and usher in the game's final days. Knockout City originally launched under EA's original banner in 2021. Last year, it moved to a free to play model and became a self-published game at Velen as the studio and EA mutually parted ways. In GameSpot's Knockout review, Alessandro Barbosa praised the game's core mechanics and cartoonist world, saying Knockout City's greatest strengths lie in the simplicity, but also in the ways it remixes traditional multiplayer elements to create something distinct. You sad to see it go, Carter?
A little bit. It was pretty unique, and I had a ton of fun. I've like throughout my life, I have always thought that there's been a weirdly distinct lack of dodgeball games. Just because it lends itself so easily to like a fucking video game, especially like a PvP one. Um, and I think when Knockout City came out, that was about the peak of what I was able to imagine for that type of game. So
I see.
kind of sucks to see it go, but I'm hoping that they can salvage something. And I don't know, the way they're phrasing that as being part of a universe and it potentially coming back, I kind of hope that studio can figure out what they need to and bring it back somewhere down the line.
That is fair.
But it's a pretty good time. There's a couple months to play it, so if you're looking for a free to play game to play, you can do a hell of a lot worse than 3v3 dodgeball.
Quite true. I don't think anyone in our what you call it has actually
I don't think so. I tried to get
played.
a couple people on, but you guys never did. So now it's gone.
Yep, now it's gone. Good job, guys.
Thanks.
God damn it.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Appreciate you. But yeah. So looks like the last article that we have for the night is a Wolverine game apparently is rumored to be in development. Why don't you tell us about that,
Nope,
Carter?
not. It's not rumored. They announced it at E3 2 years ago.
Oh,
Not even at E3. It was part of the PS5 showcase.
it's a
Um,
rumor, Carter.
it's
God,
not. Insomniac is working on it. It's not a rumor.
this fucking guy, dude.
I, I should just stop talking. Uh, um, Yeah. So the Jesus Christ, I just lost my train of thought. The Wolverine game that is coming out. Um, I guess we don't really have a release date. A lot of people are thinking sometime like next year or 2025, maybe. So next couple of years. There have been reports that it is going to potentially be an M-rated game, which would be interesting for a couple reasons. The first one being that Insomniac hasn't really done a ton of M-rated stuff. They've dabbled with like the Resistance franchise, but I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see them take a mainstream IP, and if that is the route they're going with it, um, work it into a more mature setting. Um, I definitely think they picked the right character to do it with, but it would be pretty cool to see that actually come to light. Dude's got a lot of stories that are hard to tell in a T-rated game.
This.
So I don't know. I didn't have a ton on that one. I thought it was interesting that in the current superhero zeitgeist, there don't tend to be a lot of mainstream adult-oriented projects,
That's fair.
especially for Marvel.
That is fair. That's fair. But yeah. So, I guess if that's all there is on it, then I would say that we can go ahead and close this one out. Why don't you say the outro this time, Carter? All right. Come on.
Uh, um, fellas, fellas, grab your left nut, make your right one jealous. As so eloquently said by the greatest rapper of all time, M. Thanks for coming out to another, and lady fellas. I don't want to disclude anybody, but thanks for coming to another episode, extended episode, Jesus, of the AFK podcast. We talked some games. We shared some laughs. We had some feelings, and hopefully, we made you find something out about yourself. And if we didn't, then I don't know if we were listening to the same show. But be sure to follow the YouTube channel, follow the Discord link in the description below. Follow the Discord so you can stay up to date on shit when we go live, both individually and as a podcast unit. We'll plug articles. If you want articles for us to talk about in there, drop them. We'll go over them. If you don't want us to talk about shit, let us know. We'll go that way too. We're here for you. Tune into our individual Twitch channels for the hottest, juiciest gaming content out there. I know Isaiah's been playing a lot of BDO, a lot of Black Desert Online lately. I am going to be back on it this week with some more. I've got a couple games in the pipeline. I'm going to get back into Persona 4, start playing through that again. I also got stupid back into Red Dead Redemption 2, so fully expect me to be streaming that a little bit this
Yeah,
week.
if you guys follow him on Twitter, you would know that he's been fiending over it for like the last 2 days,
Dude,
gushing over it.
I bought it when it launched, and I don't know if it was just the timing or what it was, but it did not click with me. Picked it up for sale for like $10 on the PlayStation Store. I have not been able to put it down. It is so much fun.
Oh, all right.
I realize I'm super late to the party in saying that, but
It's all right. They need the publicity. Game's struggling.
yeah, that struggling indie studio over at Rockstar.
hmm But yeah. So I guess if that's it, yeah, go and follow and sub to the right places. God damn it. Join our goddamn Discord too. God damn it. That's where we want more people to influence the shows and stuff a little bit. What we talk about and such. Be pretty cool if you guys would can put in your own 2 cents about what you want us to talk about. So Discord should be exclamation point Discord. Hold on. I'm going to gonna put it in there for people that are in the chat that are just just chilling. But yeah, no, that's the Discord link. So be sure to go over there, give it go ahead and join the server and let us know, say hi and stuff. But other than that, that's all we got for y'all tonight. Have a great rest of your night. We'll see you on the next one.
Have a pogtastic week, gamers.